Caleb, um,
Sorry about that.
that's okay. So Caleb, he was one who, really just liked to get into everything. He had a lot of food adversity, so it was definitely very stressful. Anytime we went anywhere, I kind of had to pack for really anything that could come about. Changes of clothes, toys, sensory things, food items. So it was definitely, I remember looking back, it was a preparation. And I think I stopped carrying a purse. I just carried a huge bag with me because that made life easier. Um, Now fast forward, both kiddos, Caleb has, I would say, upgraded to what would be considered a level two. So he's in gen ed classrooms now. Um, and it's funny because a lot of people don't even believe me now that he is on the spectrum, which so it looks a lot different now, now that they're older. But definitely, I could probably give a lot of tips for those younger years, especially folks that are kind of new, maybe had a kiddo recently diagnosed and they're younger. Hopefully I can give some insight on maybe what helped.
Yeah, I mean, so um, what would you say are, besides doing the go bag thing,
Yeah,
how did you prepare maybe new family members on, what works for them right now as they get ready to come over? Don't
sure.
hug them, give them a fist bump, those kind of things.
Yeah, for sure. So my son loves hugs. He's definitely what we would call a sensory seeker, where my daughter is one where she is a sensory avoider and maybe allows 10 people on the planet to give her a hug. So, going into some of those holidays, I would basically I've sent out a text of, hey, for Caleb, here's his interests, things that if you want to grab his attention, he loves talking about presidents and kind of just do an interest thing and say, he's one that you can say, hey, give me a hug, and he's going to be really excited that you extended that invitation. Where with, my daughter Julia, she's more of a sensory avoider, and I would give folks a heads up. If she doesn't want to give you a hug, don't take offense to it. And just telling people that, you know, she may be a little bit avoidant of you and it's nothing personal. She's avoidant for most people. So it's just giving them, going into it, I always tried to provide a list of even some of their favorite foods, and they're kind of the notorious, what you would think of at the autism menu, as I like to call it, where it's chicken tenders and goldfish crackers and French fries,
Macaroni and cheese.
yeah, macaroni and cheese, so I would give those lists and then also say, please don't be offended, but I'm going to take a little just lunch baggie for my kids just to take the stress off of the host because you're already preparing a huge dinner. So I would even sometimes, swing by McDonald's if I'm on the way over to something with, an event of a lot of people where I know they probably aren't going to like the menu. I would try to just bring stuff ahead of time so I didn't have to worry about it.
Mhm.
Um, but a lot of it is going in and even introducing my kid and saying, hey, this is Caleb, my son or my daughter. um, you know you've got to ask them, about such and such. They are so smart about it. And I would actually say some of those things in front of the kid, depending on which child it was, because then it made them feel good that I'm bragging on them.
Mhm.
And it also kind of started that conversation where it made it easier for the host to kind of take off with it. Oh, you like dinosaurs? Yeah. So tell me about what's your favorite one. So it just made that conversation, me kind of being the mediator and starting it, it made it super helpful for that host. Um, but yeah, but I always try to send a text of just kind of what each kid really likes, giving a heads up that, my daughter, for example, we call it flappy hands or happy hands. So I would give people a heads up, or if you see her flapping her hands, that's not bad. That just means she's happy. You and I smile, she flaps her hands, we all do what works for us. So just kind of giving a list of the best ways to talk to them, things that might be their little quirks that might bother them. I would send a list of even their favorite TV shows and songs, just so the host could kind of know going into it. Here's probably how to make the best outcome.
Mhm.
Um, just so it's familiar for them. Another thing that I have asked a host before is, I know this sounds crazy, but can you take a picture of the rooms that you're going to be hosting in? So, and I know even my son's teacher would use anytime she changed the classroom around, she would take a picture of the classroom and send it to me. And then I could show Caleb, hey, look, things are going to look a little bit different when you go tomorrow. Or, hey, the house that we're going to, this is what it looks like. So when we walk in, here's their living room. Do you see a seat that you might want to sit in prior to us getting there, and just kind of familiarizing him with where he's going prior to getting there so that it takes a little bit of that shock off of them. As goofy as it sounds to do, it works. At least for my kiddos, it worked.
Yeah, I mean, visual schedules are really good. And, maybe not having the exact time on it, but this is
Right.
kind of, what we thought about. And, one thing that we talked about on day one is actually doing a video on your phone and say, this is Juju, this is what she's into now. She likes to do the fist bump, doesn't like whatever food,
Yeah.
has a peanut allergy. All that stuff is kind of, you can share, hey, they may not know you because they haven't met you before, or
Exactly.
it's been a long time, but here's, who they are. I think that is a great idea. A friend can help you make that video just to give everybody a heads up. And, the other thing is, and I thought about this last night, is what if the day starts out really disastrous? And so, right? And so you
Yep.
could have the best laid plans, but, it's just not going to happen. And an interesting analogy that someone had shared with me, I want to share with everybody here, that having a person with a disability who's disability is pretty involved, maybe with behaviors, that kind of thing. It's like living with an alcoholic in your home. You never know what kind of day it's going to be, or if you can bring friends over, or it's just not going to happen today. So that may be a conversation to have with the host to say, you know what, if we wake up and it's just not gonna, doesn't have a good feel for it, we're just gonna stay home today. And for the host to be okay with that, to be flexible and understanding enough, um, you know, and you also have family members that are like, don't break our tradition. We always have it at grandma's and, that kind of thing. And so, speaking of transitioning from going to someone's
Yeah.
house, how do you prepare your home? I mean, you and Mike do a tag team where you're checking on the kids? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So now that they're a little bit older, I don't have to do quite as much prep. However, with my daughter, she is one where I can kind of, me as her mom, I know her well enough to know when she's getting a little bit overwhelmed. So, as far as preparing, that she has noise canceling headphones, and she also has earplugs. So that is something that she knows that she has free access to, that she can grab. She also knows that, hey, if it's too much, I can go upstairs and lay down for 10 minutes. And that's something that I would encourage, if you're going to somebody's house, talking to the host and saying, hey, do you have a room where you're comfortable with them going into if they just need to take a 5-minute chill break? But just kind of having that, and I'll reassure my daughter on those days, hey, just because it's Christmas, you're allowed to use your earphones still, you're allowed to take a break if you need to. And then I'll also check in, with my daughter if we're in a situation that's outside of her typical day. I'll even check within her, hey, are you doing okay? Do you need a break? um Most of the time it's no, I'm fine, but sometimes it's, yeah, I need a break. Okay, would you like to have your headphones on, or would you like to, and giving that option for them to self-advocate of what break is going to be best for them.
Mhm.
um but yeah, I would definitely kind of, one of the first things, when you're going to somebody's house, if your child, or whoever you're caring for, if they are one that probably needs a sensory break, definitely finding an area in your host's home that they're comfortable with you sitting in,
Yeah.
just to have that little downtime and time out if need be. Because it is a lot. I know for me, not being autistic, I get overwhelmed. So I couldn't imagine what my two kiddos feel like, with having autism and having to kind of navigate through that.
Yeah, I know that my mom used to say, to clean your house, have a party. And I want to add to that, I'm usually very tired by the time I'm done cleaning the house and making the food. I basically want to say to my guests, enjoy yourself. I'm going to bed. So,
Yep.
so, so, um, you know, I want to talk about a little, let's go to the host home again.
Yeah.
We talk about sensory, you know,
Mhm.
smells, special diets, twinkling lights, loud holiday music. What's your take on all that?
So with the diet, that was probably the diet and the noises. I'd say for my two kids were the biggest things that I had to kind of focus on. So with the diet, I always made sure I had stuff packed. I always, of course, asked, "Hey, I'm not picky, I promise, but can you tell me what you're going to be making?"
Mhm.
If you say, "Hey, I'm going to have pizza," my kids were they don't really care where the pizza comes from. They don't care if it's gourmet or if it's frozen. They love pizza. So I knew, okay, I don't have to worry about bringing anything. But I'd always ask, hey, what are you going to be having? If it's something that I knew that they were going to, say I'll take a roll and that's it. I would just pack them what some of their favorites were. My daughter loves peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So if that meant packing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for her to keep her happy, it's her holiday too. Um, so with that, I'd always pack things for them. Um, as far as my daughter, I would give the host a heads up. Hey, um, she can be a little bit sensitive to the music. She loves music, don't get me wrong. But, if we could just maybe kind of monitor how loud the music is, that would be super appreciative. And if she does put on her headphones, don't take offense to it. It's just hurting her ears a little bit. Even like on her school bus, she gets on the school bus. She loves talking to her peers. However, that school bus can be really loud. Um, so the bus driver gives her earphones to put on when she gets on the bus. Um, it's not a big deal. It's part of the norm. I have noise blockers. It's pretty
Yes.
standard now. It's not a big deal.
Mhm.
So I just give the host a heads up of, hey, those are going to be some of the things. I have seen kids also. I have a friend who has a son that it's very into flashing lights that he has issues with. It can send him into a seizure. So that's one of the things that, when she goes over to a friend's house, she'll just say, hey, the Christmas lights are gorgeous, but do you mind if we just pause not having them on for a few hours because it
Or,
could send them
or
into
no
a seizure.
twinkling or,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly, exactly. You know, eh, and maybe even with that, candles, they smell amazing, but that fire, the brightness of even a lit candle could also kind of send him into, overload. Do you mind just not doing candles? If you really want something lit, do incense. That doesn't phase him. So just kind of being cognizant of what might work for them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, first of all, candles and kids really don't mix,
No,
so why do it?
bingo.
Yeah, so uh, I'm looking for, I'm going to ask you a question while I'm looking for something. Um, so I asked a friend of mine who asked some of her seasoned friends what are some tips they would offer. And so, um, uh, okay, prep as much ahead of time for your food, or better, order out from Bob Evans or Cracker Barrel. Now, when I'm thinking, let's say you decide to have it at your house instead, why not ask for it to be a potluck? It's hard enough to clean the house and watch the kids and then, to prepare a meal. I do not know how my mom did it. Because my grandmother just kind of sat at the table and had a drink in her hand. So she didn't really help at all. Um, but one of them was let go of expectations and remember there's always wine. I thought that was good.
True.
And,
It's true.
you know, um, let's see, take extra vitamins, get your sleep. I think also one thing we talked about yesterday was, if you have therapy stuff, keep it going, keep that
Yep.
continuity. And the other thing was a take home for yesterday's conversation was your kid has anchors in life. So what do you typically do in the morning, lunch, dinner? Do you take a nap? Do you take a break from electronics, so like screen break? Those kind of things. Keep that consistency,
Mhm.
if possible, as much as possible. Um, so, getting back to the host home,
Yeah.
um, I think it's a good idea to create an exit plan. What do you think?
Yes. And definitely tell the, for me, I think it's important letting the host know, hey, please don't think we're being rude. If we have to dart off a little bit early, please know it's nothing against you. It's just, it's everybody's holiday. So, if we do need to leave a little bit early, just keep it low key. Don't make a big deal about it. Oh, stay. We're having so much fun. If the person, that is telling you, hey, we need to take off, be okay with it and just, kind of keep it all. Hey, I'm so glad you came. Thanks for coming. I can't wait to see you next time and be done with it.
Right.
No need to make a big deal out of it. It's don't add fuel to the fire. They say they have to go. There's
Yeah,
a reason
if they
behind
go,
it.
yeah, don't go. Oh, please don't go. Everything's great. Don't worry about. I think trusting a parent, like it's time to go, and just be cool with that is so
Yeah.
important. Um,
And it could also be because the parent, I mean, there were times where, I might have been at, a host house and I was getting almost overwhelmed just because I could tell my kid was. So maybe it was me, that my kid might have been fine and no issues, but maybe I was getting overwhelmed as the parent chasing after my kid and you know it might have been stressing me out. So, it could even very well be that the parent just says, okay, I am exhausted.
yeah,
I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning wrapping gifts and now I'm here and there and I need a break. So, let that exit plan be also for you, not just your kid. That's okay.
yeah. So Najma, who's also on today, she's actually going to be sharing on Friday on um, tips of inclusion to people who do not celebrate holidays, and so I'm excited about that. And so she suggested, and thank you for suggesting it, Najma. I'm having a little bit of technical disability issues, but let's give it a shot. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and I'll pull up the chart of the life course, um, one page, person centered description, and let me know when you see it.
I can see it.
Okay, so this is an awesome, Chart and Life course is an awesome framework to help families have conversations, whether it's with each other, with their family members, with professionals, teachers, that kind of thing. But so I'm going to ask Najma, looking at this page, how would you fill this out based on our discussion today?
Thank you. Because first of all, Lauren, I think you're doing a great many of the great things that I see in parents with children with autism.
Thank
Um,
you.
but I know that many parents don't have this tool, so that's why I just said, "Are you aware of this page?" Because what I like about this page is, um, you can already have it filled it out with the child, even sit with it, have their picture. You'll have what are their needs, what are their dislikes, what are the dangers, everything, and then you can share it not only with the host, but maybe via email with all the family members that you think are coming.
Mhm.
And so ahead of time, so so I think it kind of saves the parent a little bit of time because they don't have to sit with each uncle and auntie and explain what's going on because they already kind of have this bio in their hand. So I just think it actually saves you time and a little bit of takes that a little bit of that stress away from you. And I was just gonna add, as family, modern family is different. Sometimes we don't all stay at grandma's home. We stay at the hotel. So you can even add this to your hotel reservation. Say, hey, this is my child. These are his needs. These are the what I need. And so I just think that is also because I know hotels, many hotels or resorts are not fit for a child with a special need. And so just to have this included into your reservation, I just think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I
you
never
know,
thought about that with
I
hotels. That's
love
a
the
great idea.
yeah, I love the hotel idea because okay, so let's say you're out of town, you don't want to stay with someone just because it's already all over the place. If you can afford it, to get a hotel. That way, if you need to leave early or, you know, you want to spend time in the hotel pool, you know, just to base it on what your family needs and not what the expectations are from your relatives. Um, and I think that's the most freeing thing is to allow you to run your family and their needs versus letting everyone else dictate how it should be. So we've got like 5 more minutes. Tomorrow, and probably the rest of the week, we're going to be talking about gift ideas. Um, and just to give you a little taste, I'm going to share how my brother Rodney, Lauren's uncle Rodney, loved white socks and he liked to dangle them. That was his comforting mechanism. And, I just remember, the struggle every year trying to figure out something different for him. I mean, he's the type of guy that would unwrap the present, throw the paper, and throw whatever was in it, and he was done. So,
Mhm.
for family members not to be hurt that he didn't get super excited that, he got something. But, my question is, can you be okay with just getting your um, giving your brother a pair of socks, a pack of socks, because that's what brings him joy, and be okay with it. And then the hardest thing is when someone says he's always hard to buy for. Trust me, we get that. So it's just maybe be careful how you encourage a family during the holidays because it's hard. It's hard. So we've got a couple of minutes. Anything else that I've left out, Lauren?
I think one of the things that helped me when my kids were younger, as far as gift giving goes, because it is hard, is do you remember I knew growing up, you always had the J.C. Penney and the Lazarus catalog where you could actually look through the toys and picture what you want. So I would actually do that, with my kids, and we would sit down and they could actually see pictures of things that they might want. Um, and we would go through it, and that gave me gift ideas. We would also go things, for example, my son loves presidents. So I would get on Amazon and look up all things presidents that I could find and say, are any of these things something that you might want for Christmas? And if that was the case, I would screenshot it, send it to, whoever, or
Mhm.
say, hey, maybe he wants a book or a globe or something to that effect to help give ideas. But that helped me giving my kid visuals of potential gifts. And it was interesting because things I thought he would want, no interest. Other things, oh my gosh, I want that.
Mhm.
So I was able to, kind of take that and share, hey, here's something that, I know it sounds goofy, but he would like it.
Yeah.
So even showing those visuals, is another way to kind of get an idea of what that person may want. If they're able to express that to you or even point to a picture that they might want.
Yeah, and maybe even I know it's all about gift giving and you should be able to pick what you want to give somebody, but maybe even a practical thing to support the parents. It could be, you know, maybe they don't have a phone,
Right.
or maybe they don't have the noise cancellation headphone, or maybe they, need a special kind of weighted blanket, those kind of things. To be okay with maybe even focusing on what the parents may benefit from, as
Hmm.
well as the child or adult. But so anyway, we covered a lot. Um, one story that came to my mind when Lauren and I were preparing for today, she asked me, can I wear pajamas or should I get my hair, done? And I remembered a story that I went to a conference with a woman whose son was on the spectrum, and he probably was about 8 years old. And I picked her up. And I went to the door. He opened the door. He said, Mommy's still in the shower. I said, okay, great. Just tell her I'm going to go to the car and put my face on. And not thinking he's taking it literally, he goes and tells his mom, Mom, she said she's putting her face on. so, so, in the midst of those memories, we do need to take time to laugh and remember the blessing of the people that we love. that are near and dear to us. So thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow, well, Thursday, I know for sure that we're going to have our youth coordinator, Maddie uh, Randolph. She's a person with lived experience. She's the oldest of 8 kids. She's also on the spectrum. She is an intervention specialist, and we actually did a 40-minute interview. So if you go to our Facebook page, you'll see it. Scroll down, it's down there. Just talking about how she prepared, what they did during that, and then what they did the day after. And the big thing takeaway for her was, don't plan anything the day after, nothing at
Nothing.
all, and
Nothing.
be okay
No.
with that. And maybe 2 or 3 days after. So, and then on Friday, Najma is going to join me with, uh, my mind is going, it'll come. Anyway, they're going to talk about, you know, how to go about the holidays for people who don't celebrate the holidays, because you know children are in school, they see a Christmas tree, they have a holiday party, and they want to be part of that. So Najma and I can't believe my mind is going blank here. They're going to talk about maybe how we can be inclusive and not offending. So thanks for both of you guys for joining us today, and
Thanks
appreciate
for
your
having me.
time. Take care. Bye.